Have you guys ever dealt with a leak in the roof? Living in a bipolar state like Texas, where the weather changes faster than your partner's mood in an argument, you probably have. Now you might try and simply take the shortcut and just put temporary tape on the ceiling or put buckets underneath the holes in the roof. But eventually you will realize that the issue will just get worse and the ceiling will weaken and you'll have to find another solution. So what is the real solution to this problem? You would have to go on a website, find someone to fix the actual issue and the root cause. Life works the same way. You cannot always rely on taking shortcuts because these shortcuts will only bring you to short-term results, and then you will fail again and again. It will eventually become harder than if you just not avoided taking the harder pathway in the beginning. Let me tell you guys a story. A close friend of mine a few years ago jumped off an 8-story building. The reasons for this on paper were written that he was struggling with his relationships with his family, his friends, and he was struggling in career. Now obviously all of these issues are very valid, but I believe that there was something deeper than this that he was struggling with. I believe that he was scared of being vulnerable because oftentimes in society it is looked as a weakness to be talking about how you feel. I want to change that. I want to promote safe spaces where people feel comfortable talking about their feelings. Because I believe that vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a strength. It is one of the strongest things that someone can show. Now, how does this relate to everyday life? Oftentimes, whenever I look around at people, I tend to see that if something goes wrong, we tend to blame external circumstances and not look inward to try to see how we can change and fix the actual issue. Your external circumstances are only the canvas. You are the painter, and you decide what goes on the board. Oftentimes, whenever someone does bad on a test, I tend to hear, "Oh, the test was just too hard. The teacher was a hard grader." Sometimes I even hear the occasional, "My dog ate my motivation along with my homework." Or, "The couch tried talking me to sleeping on it again." And I get it. Oftentimes in life, it becomes really hard and unfair, so it's very easy to make these excuses. Sometimes people's parents can be more successful than others, and people's siblings can have already paved out the pathway for their younger one's success, and it can be very easy to feel like you are behind. But what differentiates someone from just staying back and looking at these circumstance problems as compared to someone who succeeds in life? It is their mindset and shifting it to a more positive one. Once you realize that starting behind does not mean you cannot go further than someone who started in front of you, your life will change and you will start succeeding more. I have an analogy for this. Have you guys ever played the Angry Bird game? This is a game where there's a bird, a slingshot, and there's blocks in the distance. The further back you take the bird, the more it launches and the more blocks it knocks down in the distance. Life works the same way. The further back you start, the more momentum you have created, the more room for growth you have, and the more you can succeed. And that is the mindset I think everyone should work with. The further back you start, the more resilience you build to actually succeed in life. Now, why do we tend to avoid accountability? It is not because we don't want to get better. It is because our brains are wired to protect us. And whenever we realize we are the only ones who can fix the issues going on in our life, we become overwhelmed and mentally burdened. And this mental pain can feel as painful as physical pain. And so our brain tries to stop it by blaming it on external circumstances. But when you look inward and actually fix the root cause, you will fix the actual problems you have in life. It may seem harmless to simply stay stagnant and not try to fix the issues that are going on in your life, but this can lead to many mental health issues that occur. According to the NIH, 1 in 7 adolescents struggle with mental health issues, and 6 in 10 avoid asking for help because they are scared of how weak they can be perceived as. Trust me, I've been there too. In high school, if I was to get a bad grade, I would not want to ask anyone for help because I was afraid of looking weak. And I would not look inward to try to see how I can change the grades I'm getting. But eventually, I realized that my grades were being stagnant and they were not improving, and I was getting sadder. So I decided to ask for help. I asked my parents, I asked my counselor, and they told me to look inward and actually make a change. Soon I started working harder. I started asking my teachers for help when I was struggling, and my life took a 180. I became a top 10 student in my school, and I earned a good scholarship. And I believe that if everyone follows this mindset, they will get way farther. I had blamed everything until I had finally decided to face myself and look inward. Now, what are the 4 steps to actually succeeding in life? Step number 1 is to reflect and identify. It is okay to take a break and think about what is going on. Why are all of these issues happening? Am I too overwhelmed? Do I have too many priorities? What is the actual problem? Get to the root cause, and you will get to success faster. And it is not a waste of time to pause and think about what is going on. If you run a race with a plan in mind, you will know the pathway and you will get to success faster and easier than someone who starts with no plan whatsoever. Step number 2, ask for help. Do not be afraid to ask anyone around you for help. Your parents are there, your family's there, your coworkers. And sometimes external people can see things that you cannot see in yourself, and they can point at things where you can improve. Step number 3, prioritize. Make a priority list of your top 10 things that you want to achieve in life, or top 10 focuses. And maybe cut down on the bottom 2 to make more time for the top. And make sure to never fully cut down on social life or maybe exercise, because these 2 are so important for your mental health and well-being. Now, step 4, act. Create a schedule and follow it. Websites say that if you follow a schedule for over 20 days, it will eventually become a habit, and you won't have to put in as much effort to actually get to your goal, and it will feel like something you're doing for fun. Now, next time that there's a problem in your life, or maybe the ceiling is leaking again, fix the root cause, fix the leak, and you will get further. Sometimes when you don't avoid the harder pathway in life, you build resilience, courage, and the confidence to go further than you've ever imagined and cross any obstacle that comes your way. And even if you do fail this time, at least you will have the positive mindset to get back on track and go towards success one more time. And maybe you will succeed this time. Now, if there's one thing I want you all to take away from today, is that vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is one of the strongest things that you can show. Thank you.